Chiefs Packers on a live edition of the KC Laboratory.
You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
KC Laboratory, sponsored by Emprise Bank.
It's the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank. An Emprise Bank debit card is good anywhere. You have access to 55,000 fee-free ATMs worldwide through the Allpoint ATM network. You can get the same kind of access to your money as any bank across the country while getting the value of working with a trusted partner in Emprise Bank, our partner in possible at KC Sports Network. They're wonderful to work with. Emprise Bank, member FDIC. Matthew, I'm with Maddie Lane. Craig is out again this week. It's okay. Craig's good. It's all good. He's still on this show, just not tonight. Matthew, what's good?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Craig's still with us. He's, it's preseason. We're all missing some time here. It's the preseason.
Yes,
the Packers are afraid to play their starters. We're keeping our heavy hitters,
Cowards.
off until the regular season starts. Aaron Rodgers is afraid of Patrick Mahomes. Craig Stout doesn't want any of the game I had planned for you guys later today. So I think that means de facto you're the winner. You won a game show that I had planned because Craig just simply didn't show up. You were no longer winless.
Where's the confetti? Where is it?
You're not even ready for it. Unbelievable. You don't even have a celebration ready.
I'm waiting for the confetti to fall out.
I don't think we can ever do this again. So,
dang.
Okay, so since the last time we talked, since the last time we were live here with this, the Chiefs have announced some injuries here over this week, or made a couple roster decisions that have been injury related. So they've had some injuries that come about. So I guess quickly to run down, and we got Lucas Niang has been placed on the physically unable to perform list, which essentially means he can't return until after week 4 of the regular season. He will not be able to even be active on the 53-man roster until then. Derek Gore has been placed on the injured reserve, and so he's not going to be able to play the entire season for the Chiefs. I believe Blake Bell has not been designated anything with an injury yet, but from reading between the lines in terms of what Andy Reid says, it sounds like he's going to miss some time with hip surgery. So he's also out as any. Oh, and Carlos Dunlap has missed the last preseason game due to a sore Achilles that is quote unquote getting better, but we are not sure right now. So which one of these injuries intrigues you, worries you the most?
Blake Bell, because I'm fascinated to see how the Chiefs are going to navigate the Blake Bell decision. So do they carry him on the roster, then put him on the injured reserve list at the 53-man roster breakdown in order to bring him back at some point? Because I believe because he's practiced, because he's participated, there's some restrictions on what they're able to do with him with regard to the roster decision. So I think if he goes on IR, it's season ending right now. If they keep him at the 53-man roster, breakdown at the end and keep him on the 53, they can immediately put him on the IR, that'll at least allow him the opportunity to come back. So I think I'm on Blake watch. I'm on Dozer watch because I think that's the one that probably impacts this team the most, if we're being honest. And let's just say this. I mean, the Carlos Dunlap, Juju Smith-Schuster stuff, I'm not too worried about those right now. Blake Bell is the one that probably impacts this team the most when it comes to, Lucas Niang, Derek Gore, all the respect to them. But I think where this team sits right now, those are, Blake Bell's the biggest question mark, I would say, right now.
Yeah, I think I agree. So the big thing with Blake Bell is not necessarily the player that's going to be missing for the Chiefs, but rather what that means for the rest of the Chiefs offense. We've spent all off season, national media has, local media, talking about all these multi-tight end sets, how the Chiefs can run the ball more, how they can be a heavier personnel on offense. All of that kind of goes out the window if you don't have Blake Bell. And it's not that the Chiefs can't run the ball more, they can't go heavy. We've seen Jody Fortson in brief stretches, show up as a little bit of a blocker last year before injury. And this year, by all accounts, he looks bigger, likely stronger. We've seen Noah Gray kind of used as a move blocker at times over the past 2 seasons. But neither of those guys, nor Travis Kelce at this point in career, are Blake Bell level blockers. So if your hope was the Chiefs would go with 12 personnel, 13 personnel, run the ball more, be a little bit more physical on offense, I do think if he's to miss significant amount of time, you kind of have to rein those expectations back in. It doesn't mean the Chiefs can't run the ball more. It doesn't mean they still can't use all of their tight ends. It's just, it does change the whole process if you don't have a tight end you believe can block in line. So yeah, I would agree that Blake Bell probably has the biggest overall systemic effect for the team. But to me, I hear the word Achilles and my radar is immediately up. So Carlos Dunlap, a veteran player, been around the league for a while, dealing with an Achilles injury. That's something that if that doesn't get right, that can linger all year. And here's a guy that's already got moderate levels of explosion or burst as is. You limit that even more with an injury. Now things, he might just have difficulty playing not even a lot, but just a significant amount of snaps, whether that is just 30, 40% of them. I think that Carlos Dunlap one could linger all year given the nature of the injury, at least with what we know about it.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're looking at, the level of concern with maybe what Andy Reid's presenting to this point doesn't give me as much pause, but at the same time, you're absolutely right. It might be fair to say any level of concern with Carlos Dunlap is probably warranted to be, a little bit concerned relative to a Blake Bell. You might be fair in that regard because this is a high impact position. This is a guy that the Chiefs are expecting to be part of their defensive end rotation that was already lacking. This isn't the strongest group on the football team at this point. Frank Clark kind of is what he is as a veteran. George Karlaftis has been great to this point, and I think the arrow's pointing up for him. There's a lot of reason to be excited, but you want a little bit more stability at that position. And Mike Dana, capable rotational player, but they need more juice. They need more capable bodies off the edge. Carlos Dunlap presents that. He's a perfect fit for Steve Spagnuolo's defense and a veteran presence. There's a lot of boxes to check there. I'm still, I feel like, we're at this point in the preseason where there's 3 weeks until the alarm's not raised for me quite yet with him. But if an air of concern starts coming in from the coaching staff, yes, I'll start freaking out a little bit because I do think he's a sneaky, valuable piece. Not necessarily like he's just going to be this giant impact player, but stability, depth at a position that needs it. That's where it gets a little concerning for me.
So I got a 2-parter for you next then. Speaking of alarms. Okay. What is your take on Lucas Niang going on the PUP list right away? What do you think that means for him or the Chiefs this year in regards to the tackle spot?
I don't think he was ever legitimately going to have a chance at competing for that spot at the right tackle position. I think pretty quick into camp, I think it became apparent that this wasn't going to be a battle. I mean, Lucas Niang, was going to be difficult for him to kind of get back up to speed, get in game playing shape. I think the Chiefs kind of figured that out relatively quick. And because of that, they've decided to play a little bit slow. I think Lucas Niang's going to need a lot of ramp up time when it comes to kind of getting into game fitness. And I mean, at some point, I think you just roll with Andrew Wiley, who we all considered Wiley the starter anyway. I mean, that's the guy we kind of thought was going to be the guy off the top anyway. So I don't know. I don't have any. I think it was the right move. I didn't have a ton of optimism for Niang to overtake Wiley anyway. I'm very much wait and see with Lucas Niang at this point anyway.
Okay, so that brings me to the second part. What's your just overall alarm level for the player in the future of Lucas Niang? This is a guy that was drafted in the 3rd round in 2020, who sat out the entire season due to COVID and that being an option. He didn't feel comfortable playing. He made the decision for him and his family to sit out 2020. Yeah. This was coming off of season-ending injury at TCU. to his hip that caused him to miss the final half of that year. He played through it all year until it got too bad. So there's a significant hip injury, sits out 2020. 2021 comes around. He plays off and on with Andrew Wiley, and then he gets hurt again at the end of 2021. That's keeping him out this entire offseason into this year. Just what is your level of concern overall with Lucas Niang?
I mean, okay, so I'll ask this question. So I know I'm going to counter it with a question, but there's a reason. Like I saw someone ask on Twitter if Lucas Niang is a bust. And I don't know if you can classify a guy that's the very tail end of a top 100, at the very tail end of a top 100 as a bust. But yeah, I think relative to the hope you had for him when they first drafted him, sure, the expectations have not been met. Injuries are always like a fickle piece of this when it comes to especially bigger guys, especially, offensive linemen like that. Sometimes just, your body it can fail you at times. I don't have a ton of optimism for the rest of Lucas Niang's, career. That being said, the Chiefs have 3 years of club control left with him. Like it's crazy to think about Lucas Niang being essentially a second-year player, but the Chiefs have him under club control. Last year was technically his rookie year when it came to their contract because he sat out for COVID. You don't give up on that either, right? You don't give up on it, but the leash is starting to get a little bit shorter for him, and I think he holds on for a while. But I obviously I don't think there's reason to have a ton of optimism about his outlook moving forward.
Yeah, to your first point, it's hard to call a third round player a bust, right? And in Lucas Niang's case, especially at this point in time, he's a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries over the past couple of years. So even if let's say he is unable to really continue going forward because these injuries, I get the concept that a guy that could only play for essentially one season in the NFL, and even then he was replaced on and off of, as a starter, as a backup. I get the concept of calling that guy a bust. I guess it's just not significant enough when you're dealing with the third round. But here's the concern I guess I have with Niang and how he could go down that road. He has not looked to be in great shape anytime he has entered Chiefs training camp. He missed his first training camp in 2020. He came in last year and he looked very large. He looked like a guy that wasn't exactly in game shape. As the season got closer, as he got action on the field, yeah, he looked a little bit better, but he still never looked to be a guy that was in great shape. And then this year comes around, he's dealing with an injury. The people that have been out the training camp to see him have, there's been more than one report that he looks big again. He looks very large again. And I understand he can't work out, but right now you're dealing with a guy who, going back to college, has had issues of being in good shape, being in good enough shape to play football at a high level for a long period of time. So I think if that concern sticks and he washes out of his first team right now and the injury history, he is on the fast track to having a very short NFL career. And then I get how you'd start going to bust. So we had one more injury that we mentioned. That was Derek Gore. He is going to be on the IR. He's not playing for the Chiefs this season. This parlays us into what we're going to talk about next. But do you see Derek Gore's absence as opening up a roster spot for another running back on the team? Is running back 4 on the roster up for grabs? And is that man Ronald Jones? Kent?
No, I don't think the Derek Gore injury has anything to do with the roster construction at this point. Like maybe, I think one of the conversations we were having in the DMs was maybe Blake Bell's situation, helps the Chiefs keep a 4th running back. But I don't think it's because of the Derek Gore situation. He had no bearing on the 53-man roster. He wasn't going to make the 53-man roster. I know he had some good moments last year, undoubtedly, but I think he was a guy that was he's probably going to wind up back on the Chiefs practice squad again, is my guess. He didn't look particularly strong this preseason. I mean, no one really has. I mean, it's been really hard to judge any running back at this point because, the blocking hasn't been particularly strong to this point. But no, I don't think Derek Gore had any bearing on the situation for Ronald Jones. I don't think Ronald Jones is making it either, too. I think the Chiefs will roll with 3 running backs.
Can I present my counterpoint?
I mean, you're always going to.
So I don't disagree that Derek Gore's ability to make or not make this roster really has that much bearing on Ronald Jones. However, we're now talking about Blake Bell potentially not being on the 53-man roster right now. If he's not, that leaves the Chiefs with maybe 3 tight ends that we know of, maybe a fourth one sneaks on there. If you're not including Ronald Jones or Derek Gore, that's only 3 running backs, 3 tailbacks, plus Michael Burton. You have an open roster spot now if you don't have Blake Bell and you don't have another running back. So does that not open up the case for a Ronald Jones to take that spot? And then the next step, with the way the new practice squad rules work, if Derek Gore's on the practice squad, they can essentially reserve him to be an emergency call-up any given week to play running back. Without being able to do that with him, are they going to be comfortable only having 3 active running backs on the 53-man roster and not having that, practice squad and Derek Gore that they can bring up into action any given week? And they would like to just keep a Ronald Jones on the 53-man roster to protect themselves in case one of the other 3 get injured.
That's fair. That is a very good forward-thinking roster building question. My only counterpoint is Blake Bell, I think, is going to be on the 53. I do think he will be on the initial 53. Then he will go on IR, so the Chiefs will have the ability to bring Blake Bell back at some point in this season. So I think they're going to have to let go of, I think they'll probably still have to let go of Ronald Jones. And so maybe he comes back. If they release Ronald Jones, I don't think he's coming back.
I don't think he'd want to come back, but I do think that Ronald Jones, for some reason, there's enough interest in him around the NFL that somebody would give him a chance to be signed immediately to a roster. That's why I don't even include him for that same kind of Derek Gore role where you could practice squad him and bring him up any given week you need him. It's just, that's something I thought of, because I'm with you that Derek Gore's lack of ability to make the roster because the injury has no actual bearing on somebody else making the roster. Like, it wasn't like Derek Gore was guaranteed a spot, but the inability to call him up when you need him, whether it's week 8, week 12, whatever it may be, I wonder if that does impact their decision, or are they okay with Tayon Fleet Davis as being that guy instead of Derek Gore? I don't know, but it's just an interesting roster battle spot there still.
And I think that's one of the roster spots we kind of need to discuss. Like, I think that's a perfect transition into kind of like the rest of this show. But let's talk about trade real quick, because we're coffee nerds here at KC Sports Network. And I mean, even Tucker is now becoming a coffee nerd. If you haven't noticed, he actually drank some black coffee for the first time in his life, which was great. And he said it wasn't bad, because you know what? It's not. It's perfect. It's one of the best parts of my day. And I signed up for Trade Coffee personally. And, they connect customers to the freshest and best tasting coffee that they've ever made at home by partnering with country's best craft roasters. These are independent businesses from big cities and small towns, like Portland, where I'm getting some. Trade customers are truly impactful for these independent roasters, often being the largest source of new growth for them. You're going to take a quiz when you go to drinktrade.com/KCSN in just a couple of questions, and you'll get your own personalized variety of coffees delivered fresh to you as you like. No gimmicks. Do you like them ground? Do you like them whole? How do you brew your coffee? Are you a pour over guy? Are you just a traditional coffee maker like me and my wife are? So right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/KCSN. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Get started by taking their quiz at drinktrade.com/KCSN and let Trade find you a coffee you'll love. That's drinktrade.com/KCSN for $30 off. All right, back to the running back position. Back to, I think, the next conversation. We're kind of looking at maybe the last few roster spots that might be up for grabs here tomorrow, because this is still a game preview edition. We've already talked about how Aaron Rodgers is a giant coward and afraid of Patrick Mahomes.
Fact.
Yeah, the running back position is probably a little bit unsettled, and I think the Blake Bell impact, is worth considering. Is maybe a Tayon Fleet Davis is a guy that, if he performs well this week, and we haven't spent a lot of time about him, but I mean, he punched that play into the end zone. I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember which game it was, but I mean, he finished in the red zone. He's a bigger bodied back, which is always a valuable. I think he's sitting around 215. Maybe he's a guy that can benefit from this opportunity where he's not on the initial 53, but maybe he is a guy that they try to bring up after the absence of Blake Bell. But I think the other thing that Tayon Fleet Davis can do for himself potentially is keep the Chiefs from looking elsewhere, or keep the Chiefs from really actively trying to find another running back. Because you talked about, okay, who's the practice squad running back that has the flexibility to come on and off the roster or potentially get called up or be on the 53-man roster active. I mean, it might not be here, Maddie. The answer might not be in town right now. And, a lot of good running backs are going to get cut. There might be a veteran that they like that winds up on the 53-man roster after Blake Bell
What's
goes
CJ
on
Spiller
IR.
up to?
That's going to do it for the Casey Laboratory. No, there could be a back or two that kind of falls, falls through the cracks and gets an opportunity here. I wouldn't be stunned by that, especially since the lack of production that we've seen from the running back room to this point. But I think that's what Tayon Fleet Davis is fighting for.
Yeah, and so we're looking forward to this game. These position battles that are still open. This is kind of the last live game to get to do it. There's still some practices, but there's some decisions that will be made based partially, at least, on what these guys are about to put on tape tomorrow. So you're kind of looking at Tayon Fleet Davis and Ronald Jones. I don't even know if they're competing for the same spot. Ronald Jones would be fighting to make the roster as a fourth running back.
Yep.
Whereas I think Tayon Fleet Davis, the Chiefs are likely looking at him to be a practice squad addition, and they'll then fulfill like different roster spots or roster slots. So I don't even know if there's a position battle there to really be had. Like, if anything, it's Ronald Jones versus the potential injured Blake Bell and who's gonna make the 53-man roster originally, right? Or another wide receiver or whatever it may be. It's like just straight up Ronald Jones versus the field in terms of, is he gonna be the 53rd player to make this team or not? So far, I'd say there's no way, but strong performance.
I mean, I don't know. Like, that's it. Like, camp ended. We have, there's been some practice we haven't got a chance to see, but like, he just hasn't shown anything to this point. Like, there's nothing to really got, like, has there been anything from practice clips, from game clips that has really said that guy, the Chiefs need to hold on to him. The Chiefs need to make sure that they keep that guy. Like, I don't think I've seen anything. It's just,
no. And Chiefs, people covering the Chiefs as a whole, us included, have spent so much time talking Ronald Jones this offseason. And it's a guy that is washing out faster than Carlos Hyde did with the Kansas City Chiefs. So like, he's done less. So it's just, we should probably move on from him just in general, because it's just been too much. I don't mean the Chiefs. I mean, just people talking about him, because there's just nothing to talk about. He has come in and not looked great. And that's not maybe all his fault. Maybe he will go full Carlos Hyde and go to the Texans and have a great year with another team. But with the Chiefs, it doesn't seem to be clicking. So are there any other offensive position battles you're looking forward to versus the Packers?
I think I'm keeping an eye on Darius Fountain. Is he a guy that can help, himself, continue to help himself? Because, with the roster crunches, 3 running backs, 4 tight ends, all that stuff, how many wide receivers does this football team keep is one of those questions that you've got to kind of take into consideration. And I mean, if you're looking for me, I think Darius Fountain's wide receiver 6 at this point. I think Justin Watson's obviously a lock. So you got Juju, MVS, McColl, Sky, Justin Watson. They're the locks. I think it's if Darius Fountain can help himself, like, there isn't a true, like, I don't think there's, like, to your point, Maddie, there's not like a true 1-to-1 position battle left on this football team. I don't think there's really a ton of them that we're going to be, maybe the tackle position, but I mean, it's a lot of, okay, what are we keeping here? Are we keeping guy X at X position or guy, Y? Darius Fountain needs to continue to help himself. I feel like you kind of think he's a lock. I feel like you kind of think he's sharp because he got some reps with Mahomes.
I wanted to ask, he did get to play with the first team offense. Now, that was also without McCole Hardman and without Juju Smith-Schuster playing, but he still went out and took a couple reps with Patrick Mahomes. He has been comfortably getting reps with the second team at various times. Maybe it requires an injury, but he's getting reps before Corey Coleman, Cornell Powell, Josh Gordon. He's finding the field with guys higher up the depth chart than they are. Plus, we know last year he went out there and he played special teams a little bit for the Chiefs. We know he can still do that on some level here. He did it with the Colts before as well. So what would you need to see to think that he is not the sixth wide receiver? Like, what would Cornell Powell or a Josh Gordon or a Corey Coleman have to do to overtake his spot? Because you mentioned there's not a one-to-one battle, but like, and if it's not one of those other wide receivers taking a spot, you're keeping another tight end or another running back. I feel like it's 6 is a lock, and what do you think those other receivers would have to do to overtake him?
Well, it's just a matter, like, I think you've got to look at, I think Darius Fountain is likely to make it at this point, but I think if you're looking at offensive line, if you're looking like how many the only way Darius Fountain isn't making this football team is if they don't keep 10 offensive linemen, because I'm looking at the math right now, and it's or 4 running backs like that. Those are the roster crunches that you're potentially looking at. So it's Rojo, Darius Fountain for me. That might be the one-to-one battle, and because I think they're going to keep.
And that means that they keep 10 offensive linemen, right?
It should only be 9. I think
9 offensive linemen, Blake Bell.
Yes.
And then you have Ronald Jones versus Darius Fountain for the final spot.
That's essentially what you're looking at. So it's like potentially offensive lineman 10, Darius Fountain, and Rojo are really it's the battle that you're kind of looking at right now. I don't know, like offensive linemen, I don't know what to do with the backups. I have no clue what to do with the backups with that group.
Yeah. So like I think there's a battle there, right? So I think Garrett Christian, I think we can kind of lock in as to getting a roster spot, whether we love it or not. I think you can kind of lock him into getting a roster spot. Same with Nick Allegretti. I don't love doing it, but I think Austin Ryder is also locked into a roster spot. So that gives you 8 right there. If you wanted me, oh wait, no, that's 9 because Darian Kennard's probably not.
Darian Kennard's a lock, I think. Yeah, I think Darian Kennard's a lock. Yes.
He's been so bad though.
I think they're keeping on to him. They're keeping inventory of a 4th round or a 5th round pick. Maybe Prince Tiga Winogo too.
Right. Oh, or the only other name I was going to put in there, and this I'd have to go back and see who's played some center. I have not minded. I'm gonna butcher this name. Vitaly Gurman. I think Vitaly Gurman. If I'm watching 3rd string depth offensive line for the Chiefs, he's the one guy that I don't think I have been disgusted by. Like maybe he's making a case to, I guess, push Austin Ryder. Because I'm with you. I think you have to keep 2 tackles while you wait for Lucas Niang. So I think that it might have to be Garrett Christian and Prince Tiga. I don't know if Darian Kennard's ready to step in if you need him to. And if that's what you're doing, if you're keeping those 3 guys that maybe play tackle, maybe Gurman's in there to compete with Ryder. It's like there is some stuff to sort out, I think, with this offensive line in terms of position battles. I don't know if I see any one-to-one battles, though. I mean, Prince Tiga
exactly
better than Kennard. He's clearly a better tackle. So are they actually competing for the same roster spot, or is it Prince Tiga versus another, backup utility interior guy, and then it's like really hard to pare it down to a specific battle, or is it a 10th offensive lineman versus a wide receiver? Like It's all across the board.
That's really that's the situation on the offensive side of the ball. If you were telling me a position that the Chiefs go and add from a team like either waiver wire or free agents, it's offensive line for me. As far as actively on the
tight end that can block, 100% a tight end that can block.
That's fair too, because
I am all over the waiver wire right now. If I see a tight end that can block that is released, especially after seeing the Chiefs were trying to put in a waiver claim on Kendall Blanton,
that's fair.
I can almost guarantee that if there is a tight end that can block that they like, that is released, they are going to try to jump on that.
I'm just curious how many of those are going to actually be available. That's the only thing I keep going back to when it comes to the tight end spot. Is like how many capable inline blockers are there going to be on the market that they're going to like? Like that's the one thing I'm not overly confident. Like I think there's a better chance of like a rotational interior player. I wouldn't be stunned. I will say this, Matthew. I wouldn't be stunned to see the Chiefs use some of their draft capital to try to improve the bottom of their roster at offensive line or tight end. And if they do that, they're probably just putting Blake Bell on IR and calling it good, is my guess.
So I don't mind the process, but what offensive lineman are you getting rid of if you're improving the back end of it? Who is the position? What is the player that you are actively looking to go out and improve upon?
Well, if you're keeping 10, I mean, it's not really that hard of a decision to move on from a Vitaly Gurman or an Austin Ryder. So, or if
Okay.
you're keeping 9, it's even, I mean, it's still the same thing. I mean, it's just
So
moving on for both of them.
my pushback though would be using draft capital to improve at a guy that would require 4 injuries to ever see the field might be a bold strategy before the injuries start to pile up. Because the only reason I say that is Nick Allegretti can play center or either guard spot. So if you get an injury right there, you have a guy proven in the system that can step in. Darian Kennard, I think, can probably play guard in a pinch as well. I don't know how much he's cross-trained, there for them, but there's another guy that could play a little bit of tackle or guard. Ryder has played guard and center. Like, they have enough position for versatility out of their top 7, top 8 guys that, and I don't know if you're improving on a Nick Allegretti or a swing tackle via draft capital right now. Those are high valued positions, I think. Getting a guy that a quality enough center guard combo player or a swing tackle is going to cost you more than a future 6th round pick, in my opinion. So I just don't know what kind of draft capital you could trade to improve on your 10th offensive lineman.
My only pushback is also, like, I mean, why would the Chiefs do it? Is, I mean, Nick Allegretti is about to be a free agent. So, I mean, there's, an Austin Ryder's on a 1-year deal. Like, throwing one of your 12 draft picks. Like, I mean, this team has more draft picks than you know what to do with it. So it's like maybe you start using that cap a little bit to improve the bottom of your roster heading into this season and figuring out some stuff there. I do think you're right. Tight end's probably a very good place to look as well. If they're maybe as a team willing to surrender one of their better inline blockers, that's definitely a place to pay attention to as well. All right, let's look at defense. Let's kind of do the same thing here. We're looking at position battles. We're looking at some of that. What's the biggest position battle that you see on the defensive side of the ball? Is there a 1-to-1 positional battle at this point?
Yeah, we actually got some. We talked about the cornerback one a lot, so maybe we can breeze through that one here pretty quick. I think you have, I guess it's a 3-way battle kind of here for 2 spots, probably. Jalen Watson as a boundary corner versus DiCaprio Bootle as a backup slot corner. Jalen Watson backup boundary corner, DiCaprio Bootle backup slot corner, and Chris Lamond's special teamer. I don't even know if I want to give him the credit of a backup cornerback because I don't think that factors into his ability to make this team, right? So I think you're probably going to see 2 of them make this roster, and I think Watson's the safest among the bunch. So it's a matter of, can Bootle come out and showcase that he is a slot corner that you can rely upon? I don't know if he's shown that so far in the actual games, but maybe he has in practice. Chris Lamond's, I don't think looks good when he's out there playing corner. I really don't. I think he looks rough, but he's a good special teamer. And if Bootle can't separate himself on the defensive side of the ball, then it might come down to, a coin flip, and Dave Tobe wins the coin flips.
The coin doesn't even get thrown in the air. It's Dave Tobe's opportunity. Like, I think I don't think DiCaprio Bootle's making this team. I think it's going to wind up being Chris Lamond's getting that opportunity.
I'd lean that way.
I mean, I'm leaning there as well. I mean, he's going to get a few of them. But, DiCaprio Bootle might be a guy that the Chiefs are able to keep on their practice squad. And I think that's one of the questions you start asking yourself about some of these situations is, who can I get through the practice squad? And we can go back to the offense real quick. Vitaly Gurman, do they think that they can sneak him onto the practice squad if they like him enough? I bet they think that they can.
Probably.
So, there's a little bit of flexibility there. Hey, by the way, thank you everybody for watching right now. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment about some guys that you think might be on the roster bubble. Maybe we'll get to a few of those before the end of the show. Kyle Coffey says the biggest battle was Kent trying to score in the media soccer game. Of course, Tucker put that one up. Yeah, you're right. It was pretty bad on our end. The cornerback position. I think we've about said what we need to see there, and we've hit on that a lot.
One more quick bit. Do we think there's a chance that a Zane Anderson, Devin Key could interrupt 6 corners and turn it into a 5 safeties, 5 corners? I would agree with you. I just want to throw it out there.
I don't think so at all. I think Zane Anderson and or Devin Key are our practice squad players. I think those are 2 guys that they can sneak through on the practice squad. They've done it once, and I don't think either of those guys, if they want to hold on to them, I think either of those guys will be able to easily get back onto the practice squad if they want to keep them around. So, I think it's like DiCaprio Bootle or Chris Lamond's is really the last 2 battles. Do you know what I'm really kind of interested in, Maddie? I'm interested in the linebacker position. I am fascinated by the linebacker position because that's another one of those things. It's like, okay, so the Chiefs are probably going to keep 10 Or not. Well, they might keep 5 and 5. DN, D tackle. We'll get there in a second. The linebackers could be something that really disrupts them. Like I think Nick Bolton, obviously, Willie Gay, obviously, Leo Chanel, obviously. Okay, now what? Elijah Lee, lock. Elijah Lee's a lock. Are you keeping 5 or are you keeping 6 linebackers? Because I don't think 6 linebackers have shown me anything worth getting excited about. I'm not sure 5 have. Like this is like, I would say the worst position group from a depth perspective on this team because I haven't loved what I've seen out of Jermaine Carter. I wish I'd have seen more out of Mike Rose. I wish I would have seen, Darius Harris is probably, I would say, linebacker 5. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. So I think the Chiefs will keep at least 5 linebackers, and it's 5 or 6. They've kept 5 in the past. They've kept 6 in the past under Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo. It's one of those two. And I think, the 5 obvious ones are the 4 you guys we started there. Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, Leo Chanel, and then Elijah Lee. Darius Harris, though, he's your other Mike. He's the other guy with the green dot that's calling plays. Right now, I don't know if the Chiefs are 100% comfortable if Nick Bolton goes down, giving that entire responsibility to Leo Chanel. Like
Right.
They might not just they're giving him work there, but they might not be ready to just turn those reins over.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Harris has been playing ahead of him as the second team Mike. Yeah. He gets on the field as a Mike linebacker before Chanel does. I think he's pretty much a lock to be a 5th linebacker. He also plays special teams. And Corey chimes in here. Carter has a fully guaranteed contract as well, so that does matter. The Chiefs cut him. They are essentially throwing money away, but Jermaine Carter's been really, really bad. Just bad. He doesn't serve a purpose necessarily for this team, in my opinion. He's like their 4th best guy taking on blocks. He's their slowest linebacker. He's like the 4th to last best guy in coverage. I don't see what he serves other than maybe being a special teams player, and I don't know if he improves upon Elijah Lee, Leo Chanel, Darius Harris on special teams. So good to consider. I see 5 as locks, and if the push comes to shove on an extra guy, I think this team, this iteration of the Chiefs ought to lean towards a defensive line or even another defensive back over trying to make sure they get a 6th linebacker.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm leaning at this point. I mean, I think the Chiefs are keeping 5 defensive ends for sure, and I'm just jumping right back to the defensive end position, defensive line position, because like I'm looking at linebacker and like, okay, I think that's about where the conversation ends with there. If we're talking about keeping 5, yeah, that opens some things up for the defensive line position. It opens things up for primarily defensive tackle. I feel like we have a pretty like Joshua Kando versus Millie Kang's probably the only defensive end battle we have right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like that's what you're looking at as a battle is probably Herring versus Kando as that last spot. And yeah, no, I can't even I think pretend much else, right? Like they kind of have their 4 starting / rotational defensive ends. You have one more guy there on the outside that is going to fill in the last spot. And then I guess it comes down to maybe one of those other defensive ends is going to compete with a 11th defensive back or a 6th linebacker for that final defensive spot. If the Chiefs decide to keep both Kando and Herring healthy or on the active roster, especially given Dunlap's injury and Frank Clark's, up and down seasons with the past with the Chiefs, Karlaftis being a rookie, and maybe you just get us another snap eater in there. I don't know.
That's where it's going to be interesting to me. And like, that's where some of the things get a little hairy. I have 6 defensive ends, maybe. Do you keep 5 defensive tackles if that's the case? And I think the battle is Taylor Stallworth, Colin Saunders, maybe Danny Shelton. I don't know what to do with Danny Shelton. He was a late ad. So like Danny Shelton wanted to come here, and he felt
okay. Did he want to come here? Did he have no other options?
He had options. Yeah. Jacksonville.
Think so?
Yeah, he said he picked he picked between the Chiefs and the Jags.
Is that an option?
Hey, I count them. I mean, they are an NFL football team. Last I checked. But I mean, Colin Saunders versus Taylor Stallworth versus Danny Shelton, maybe. Like that's the other one you're looking at. Colin Saunders has been the guy that's flashed and he's played really well since Danny Shelton's got here. So I mean, I think he's really done a lot to give himself that opportunity. Taylor Stallworth has come on slow and we haven't got a chance to see him, but I think he performed capably in what we've seen to the preseason to this point. I don't know what you've seen from him at this juncture.
Yeah, I think the entire Chiefs defensive tackle room during preseason has played relatively well. All the guys, and Danny Shelton with them being the latest guy to be added to that room hasn't had as many chances, but I think all the guys have had bits of flashes. I mean, Stallworth has flashed at times with a run stop and a pressure. Tershawn Wharton in that first game especially looked really good. You know, he had ups and downs against the Commanders in the second one. And then Colin Saunders had a fantastic game against the Commanders. So like all these guys have flashed a little bit. You could make a case for every single one of them, I think, to make this roster. And then if I want to lean over to Shelton, there's the one guy that can back up Derek Nottie. Danny Shelton is the one guy that you can put in there in Nottie's place and be a second nose tackle. I get it. It's not a super viable position, but the Chiefs with Steve Spagnuolo have went and got Mike Pennell, and he served a purpose for them. They went and got Jaron Reed, and he served a purpose for them. Yeah, Danny Shelton maybe isn't the same level of those guys right now, but he could serve that same purpose. So I don't know if I want to call him a lock, but if the Chiefs think they need another run stuffing defensive tackle, if Steve Spagnuolo is sitting there saying, I want Derek Nottie insurance so my defense works, he's close, and then that makes him close to a lock because he's the only one of these defensive tackles that can fill that role, which makes the other guys all competing for a similar spot. And now you get back into the same issue. If you're keeping 10 defensive linemen, is it 5-5? Is it 6-4? What does it all look like? Do you keep an extra defensive lineman and keep 11? There is so many roster spots. Take that back. There's like one roster spot up for grabs on both offense and defense, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And they come from all different positions, though. And that's the wild part is the Chiefs have done a pretty good job moving around their roster selection year to year. It started out on Andy's tenure under Alex Smith, where they were pretty consistent every year with what they kept. They've bounced around a lot more often since then. So it's hard to pin down that the last spot's a linebacker or a corner. So this last game could tell you a lot.
I think so too. Like there's enough positions to kind of keep an eye on. I think we've kind of outlined the list of players that are worth paying attention to in this game. And maybe even a little bit of their snap count too can tell you a little bit. If Darius Fountain gets a little bit of work and is out relatively quick, that might tell you something. I pay attention to who the first team special teams are. Like that's going to tell you something too. Some of these guys we just talked about. Is Mike Rose on special teams? Is he on the first team special teams? Like these are the things you got to kind of pay attention to a little bit more. Obviously, we're going to find out how much, if any, that the Chiefs' first team offense is going to play, the first team defense is going to play. That's always going to be something that kind of gets thrown into the mix here too. Like how much work do those guys get, or do they get any? It sounds like the Packers aren't getting any. What do the Chiefs do? It didn't sound like it was definitive that the Chiefs were going to be playing their starters at all the last time Andy Reid talked. So plenty up in the air at this point.
Do you think that Andy is going to let all of his guys just get a rest for over 2 weeks? That's not an Andy thing. Andy's not big on just resting guys when there's going to be ample time to recover.
How did but how did the start of last season go?
Do we think that? Well, okay, that I don't think they had as long of a layoff in between the preseason and the start of the season, did they? I can't remember that.
I just know
way
that
too far back.
I just know that they started slow last year. I don't want Travis Kelce seeing the field. I mean, there's some guys I really don't want Mahomes to see the field. Like I don't know what he benefits from being in there, throwing quick game, getting the ball out of his hand quickly. Like I don't know.
I don't know if they need it. It's just that's not Andy Reid style. Like he's been out here playing these guys in the preseason. He played them in the preseason last year. Like he's pretty consistent with like unless they're talking about a playoff game that they haven't locked up. And even then, would Andy Reid sit guys going into a bye week into the playoffs? I can't remember when that happened. If he sat, did he set them in the last week? Yeah, I can't remember who all sat.
Yeah, he did.
So it's Andy's not as some of these younger coaches, the Sean McVays we talked about, the LaFleurs, these guys are sitting everyone all the time. Andy runs a hard training camp. He runs a hard offseason program. He might not want to just give guys 2.5 weeks. I mean, what if they don't play this week? That's almost like 3 weeks since they last played or something. That'll be 3 weeks in between games. That's a long time where they're just practicing. I could see Andy wanting to keep those guys in game day routine. Even though it's a Thursday, I could see him wanting them to do at least get suited up, trot out there, run the opening script. And even if they called after one series, it's just that seems like an Andy move to me.
The old formula used to be, the third preseason game, you would go and play a whole half. You would go in, you would make the halftime adjustments, you'd go through the mechanics of getting into the locker room, making halftime adjustments, coming out, executing a series, and then being done. That was kind of the old school way of doing things. Andy really hasn't done that anymore, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine if they don't play. Totally fine if they don't play. Don't run the risk of anything crazy happening. Monitor what the Cardinals are doing a little bit too, because the Cardinals are going to have their own way of going about things too. So maybe if they're not going to play Kyler at all during the preseason, maybe they're really not going to play some of their starters during the preseason. Maybe maybe you feel comfortable going into that first week. Especially, here's the other thing to consider, Maddie. Just one other thought: the Chiefs have 2 games in 5 days to start the season. So maybe they consider how they're going to navigate that a little bit differently too. Maybe that's a wrench to throw into the mix here when it comes to how they're going to navigate this final game.
It very well could. I guess my thought would be a game played on August 25th is probably not impacting too much, especially if a guy's only play for a series or two. What happens 2.5 weeks later on September 11th, and then even beyond, I get it. If it was backed up to even just being the following weekend, if the season kicked off on September 4th instead of the 11th, okay, I could buy it. I could buy saying they won't play at all. That's just a long time for Andy Reid specifically to let guys sit idle in terms of game preparation when the season's around the corner.
Yep, and we're going to find out here in about 22 hours. But we're not going to be here. We're going to be at Kingdom Bar and Grill watching the game. Maddie will be on with us after the game to break down what we saw in the final preseason game. So make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That was the KC Laboratory. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you later.